Open any app right now and you'll see it. Someone standing in front of a rented car. Someone counting cash that isn't really theirs. Someone filming their morning routine in a house they're renting for the weekend just to shoot the video. None of it has to be real. And somehow, that barely matters. You already know, on some level, that most of it is fake. You've heard the stories about rented supercars and staged private jets. And yet you keep scrolling, and some quiet part of your brain keeps reacting to it anyway. So what is actually happening when you watch someone flash money online, real or not? Picture a completely different scene. Not a phone screen. A watering hole, tens of thousands of years ago, where two small groups of early humans are eyeing each other from a distance, deciding whether to trust, trade, or avoid one another entirely. There's no currency yet. No bank statements. So how do you tell, at a glance, who has resources and who doesn't? You look at what they're carrying. The furs. The tools. The size of their group, well-fed and confident instead of thin and anxious. Every visible detail becomes a signal, broadcasting status before a single word is spoken. Groups that could accurately read those signals made better decisions about who to ally with, who to trade with, and who to avoid. And the ones with resources had every incentive to make those resources visible, because being seen as capable meant being chosen as a partner, a mate, an ally. That instinct to display resources for social advantage never left. It just changed its costume. In 1899, economist Thorstein Veblen gave this behavior a name that still gets used today: conspicuous consumption. In his research on wealthy society at the time, Veblen observed that people didn't just want to be wealthy, they wanted their wealth to be unmistakably visible to others, because unseen wealth provided almost no social benefit at all. The point was never simply having money. The point was being seen having it. Modern psychology has only sharpened that picture. Researchers studying what's sometimes called costly signaling theory have found that people are more likely to trust and defer to individuals who visibly spend resources in wasteful, hard-to-fake ways, because faking that kind of spending, historically, was expensive and risky. If you display it, the reasoning goes, you must actually have it, or you wouldn't be able to afford the display in the first place. Except that logic has a flaw baked into it, one that the internet exploited almost instantly. Here's the psychological trap this creates. When you watch someone display wealth, your brain doesn't automatically fact-check it. Social comparison happens fast and largely unconsciously, a phenomenon first formally studied by psychologist Leon Festinger in the 1950s. Festinger's research found that humans compare themselves to others almost reflexively as a way of measuring their own standing, and that this comparison shapes mood and self-worth even when the comparison is based on incomplete or misleading information. Your brain doesn't pause to ask whether that car was rented for an afternoon. It registers the visual signal first, and the feeling, small as it is, arrives before the skepticism does. This is where the story turns towards something researchers now call the highlight reel effect. Studies on social media use, including research led by psychologist Ethan Kross, have found that passively consuming curated images of other people's lives is linked to lower momentary well-being, in part because viewers implicitly compare their own ordinary, unfiltered day to someone else's carefully staged highlight. Now put money into that highlight reel specifically, and the comparison sharpens into something closer to primal status anxiety. Not, their day looks nicer than mine. Something closer to the old watering hole calculation, they have resources, and I might not, and that gap might matter. Here's the twist that makes this whole cycle self-perpetuating. The people posting the fake wealth aren't necessarily lying for no reason. Many of them are doing it because displayed wealth genuinely functions as an attention and trust signal online, the same way it did at the watering hole. Viewers are statistically more likely to follow, engage with, and eventually pay for products or courses from creators who appear successful. So the display isn't just vanity. It's often a functioning business strategy, one that converts perceived wealth directly into actual income. Which means the rented car doesn't just look like success. In a strange, circular way, displaying it can help manufacture real success, turning the appearance of money into an actual engine for making it. The old evolutionary signal, built for a world where visible resources were nearly impossible to fake, is now being run through a medium built almost entirely on things that are easy to fake. Your instincts haven't caught up to that shift. They're still reading the signal the way your ancestors did, as if visibility itself were proof. None of this means you're gullible for feeling something when you see it. It means the exact circuitry that once helped your ancestors correctly judge who to trust at a distance is now being triggered by people who understand precisely how that circuitry works, and have built entire careers around activating it on purpose. The lesson isn't to stop noticing status signals altogether. You can't, not really. It's built into you too deep for that. The lesson is knowing that in this particular environment, the signal and the substance have quietly come apart from each other, in a way they almost never could at that watering hole. So the next time a stranger on your screen counts money that might not be theirs, in a car they might not own, standing in a house they're renting by the night, you don't have to believe it or dismiss it. You just have to remember what you're actually looking at. Not proof of wealth. A costume built to look like it, worn by someone who understands exactly which ancient instinct in you it's designed to fool.